Good morning, students. Myself Abhishek Sharma from MLZS JHANSI School Jhansi. Student, today we are going to start 12th chapter of Business Studies of class 12th, and the name of chapter is Consumer Protection. And we are going to discuss the importance of consumer protection from consumer point of view and from businessman point of view. So let's begin with this chapter, starting with consumer protection. So what is consumer protection? Consumer protection refers to protecting or the interest of consumer. An analysis of marketing management has made it clear that consumer is a kingpin in the market. The producer should produce goods keeping in mind the requirement of consumer and satisfy the consumer, but it is observed that this obligation is neglected by some businessmen and they are involved in the unfair trade practices such as supply of substandard quality, then adulteration, black marketing, hoarding, and several types of malpractices. So there is a need for consumer protection. Now, consumer protection importance from consumer point of view and from business point of view. Consumer ignorance, unorganized consumer, and third is widespread exploitation of consumer. So these are the basically three importance from consumer point of view. Let's begin from businessman point of view. So starting with long-term interest of business. After the liberalization and globalization, the level of competition has increased so much that only internal, but the business has to face international competition also. Businessman uses society resources for society purposes. Businessmen use the resources of society. They earn profit by supplying goods and services to the member of the society. So it must do something for society. Then comes social responsibility. A businessman has social obligation towards the various groups, and consumer is one of the important groups. It is responsibility of businessmen to provide quality of goods at reasonable prices. Moral ethical justification. Traditionally, ethics was part of profession only, but today ethics is playing very important role in business also. The ethics or moral values practiced by the businessman adds glory to businessmen. In today's environment, business without ethical value is more than a criminal activity, and no civil society can tolerate and allow the existence of unethical businesses. Then comes government intervention. If businessman wants to avoid intervention of government, then they should not involve in practicing unfair trade activities. Government intervention may spoil the image, reputation, goodwill of business. Businessmen should voluntarily involve in the activities which protects the interest of the consumer. And the last is consumer is the purpose of business. Consumer is the final purpose of the business. How? Let's see. The basic purpose of business is to create more and more customer and retain them, and businessmen can create more customer only by satisfying the customer and protecting the interest of consumer. The customer is the foundation of business. So these were the certain points associated with businessman point of view. Let's talk about consumer point of view. Widespread exploitation of the consumer. Although nowadays consumer is the kingpin of the market, but then also there is lots of exploitation of consumer as businessmen uses various unfair trade practices to cheat and exploit the consumer. Consumer protection provides safeguard to consumer from such exploitation. Then comes unorganized consumer. In developing countries like India, consumers are not properly organized. They are very few consumer organizations which are working to protect the interest of consumers. Consumer protection encourages the establishment of more consumer organizations. Consumer protection provides power and rights to these organizations, as these organizations can file a case behalf of the customer. And consumer ignorance. Consumer protection provides information to ignorant customer regarding the rights and remedies available to them. So that's all for today's classes. Thank you and have a nice day.